Housing Development Progress. Number one and the best. Housing Development Progress. Number one. Number one. Housing Development Progress. Number one and the best. Housing Development Progress. Number one. Housing Development Progress. In Nigeria. Housing Development Progress. In Africa. Housing Development Program and the globe. Number one, Housing Development Program.
Nigeria's real estate is an important sector of the economy as it significantly impacts the nation's economic and social development. However, the housing sector faces some challenges, and this is particularly due to rising costs. These costs affect every aspect of housing, from construction, land acquisition, and even affordability of these homes. This is Housing Development, a program that advocates for the provision of decent, quality, and affordable housing for all, especially the low-income earners. As always, I am your housing diva, Flora Annie. Let's get to see the news making rounds in the sector. I will be back.
President Bola Tinubu arrived Maiduguri on Monday to express condolences to the government and people of Borno State following the devastating Alau Dam flood. According to reports, Tinubu landed at approximately 3:15 p.m., where he was welcomed by Governor Babagana Zulum. The president is set to visit the Shehu of Borno, Alhaji Abubakar Umar Gabai El Kanemi, before proceeding to one of the displacement camps to address the affected individuals. The recent flood, which submerged nearly half of Maiduguri, has resulted in significant loss of lives and property. The Borno government has established 36 camps to provide relief to the thousands displaced by the disaster. Housing Development Advocacy Network HDAN has extended its deepest sympathies to the people of Borno State following the devastating floods that have reportedly displaced over 500,000 citizens. In a press statement, the executive director of HDAN, Festus Adebayo, urged both government agencies and the private sector to act swiftly in providing relief and support to the victims who have been left homeless. The flood has had an enormous impact on communities, worsening Nigeria's housing deficit and highlighting the urgent need for better urban planning. HDAN calls on the federal and state governments to intensify efforts to support the flood victims by providing temporary shelter, food, medical aid, and clean drinking water. The floods have exhumed corpses from the Gwange Cemetery, raising serious concerns about the risk of disease outbreaks. HDAN also urged the private sector and housing stakeholders to contribute to the recovery efforts by helping rebuild homes and infrastructure in the flood-affected areas.
To read the full details of the news and more, do well to visit www.africanhousingnews.com. Moving on, inflation gradually increases the prices of goods and services in the country's economy. So it's no wonder why it also affects the real estate market. What is the rippling effect of the constant rise of inflation on Nigeria's real estate market? Let's take a listen to these real estate industry experts.
The inflation situation in Nigeria is no news. In one way or another, it has affected all industries in the country. As the inflation spikes up, the price of goods and services is also affected. And while at it, the value of real estate properties are expected to also increase. As a result, it becomes challenging for first-time buyers to step into the market since the prices may be unaffordable. Housing TV Africa conducted an exclusive interview with real estate industry experts on the current economic downturn in Nigeria, how the current depreciation of the naira to the dollar affects the housing sector, as well as the impact of today's current inflation rate on the prices of houses in Nigeria. The former president of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, ESV Roland Abonta, stated the significant impact on low and middle income demographics, adding that this crisis intensifies their struggle to find accessible housing solutions.
Poor and middle income, or the low and middle income group, have been suppressed and have been pushed. Some people now eat from gutter, looking for remnants of whatever other people ate and remained and threw away. It's so bad, and our nation seems to be a nation that do not care so much for the low income. There are still very, very wealthy people exhibiting money everywhere. In a situation like this, one will expect that people look back to their community, to their environment, to every strata of the society they belong to begin to make some investment in the life of the low-income people. So if you ask me, the low-income people are the worst hit by the economic crisis we are facing.
The chairman, Lagos State Branch Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, ESV Benga Ismail, spoke on the effect of present-day inflation on the prices of houses in Nigeria, the adoption of local content to help provide affordable housing in Nigeria, as well as tactical solutions the federal government need to take to help the housing deficit in the country.
In the economy, we have what is almost can be termed runaway inflation and issues like hiking prices of all of these issues. And for us in the real estate sector, the most important thing is that what happens to the price of housing, the value of housing. There's a difference between the cost of housing and what the value is. For us, the most important thing now is to protect the value of those housing. But if there's a cost push that makes them unaffordable, then we have a problem with value that comes into it. Value is reflected in rent. So if rent is not matching, if rent which is a return is not matched against the cost, then obviously investment has gone down. And we have this problem now that we have no investment grade property. There's none. And that's what we need to work against. However, we still have the other problem of housing deficit. How do we keep houses affordable so that's within reach of majority of those in the economy? So that's what we have to think about. The most important thing now is to make sure the constituent of building, the building materials, the content of building come down. 70% of everything that we put into housing is almost imported. So we must reduce and substitute all of those things for local content. And that should be the focus of what we do.
ESV John Bull Amayabo expressed concern about the economic effect on housing. He highlighted the diminished capacity of individuals to invest in real estate due to the adverse impact of inflation and the fluctuating exchange rates affecting the supply chain of building materials.
The capacity for people to acquire, to go into the investment in the real estate industry has been affected because of the economic situation we are finding ourselves. You remember that some of these building materials are still import dependent. Dollars, we can't hold it. How many people today can afford dollars? It's huge. So the effect is negative. The supply is dwindling. You may see, yes, people are building everywhere, but it's few. If you look at the ratio of those who are in the market, the major players, they are feeling the pains.
The real estate sector struggles with these challenges, calling on the government to respond and ensure the accessibility of essential needs, particularly in housing.
Hello, my name is Casey Arrest. I'm the Executive Director of the Centre for Affordable Housing Finance in Africa. We're based in Johannesburg, South Africa. Please keep watching Housing Development Programme. It's a great show.
Real estate industry expert there. Rising inflation leads to increased construction costs, including labor, materials, and machinery, which in turn drives up property values. One of the indices for assessing the level of economic growth of a nation is adequate housing. The role of housing in growth and development is so vital that governments all over the world make provisions for adequate housing of our citizens. As this demand for affordable housing grows, Nigerians must change the way it addresses its affordable housing strategies. Let's take a short break. I will be back.
On behalf of the board of Platinum Mortgage Bank, we proudly congratulate the Honorable Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Dangiwa, on his remarkable achievements during his first year in office. The bank, led by Dr. Emmanuel Mbaka, recognizes the significant strides made by the minister in addressing the nation's housing challenges. Platinum Mortgage Bank stands proudly with the Honorable Minister, acknowledging his vision and hard work. The bank wishes him even greater achievements in the years to come as he continues to shape the future of Nigeria's housing industry.
You are in housing development. Like other sectors of the economy, real estate operators are complaining over increased running costs, spanning logistics, labor and building materials, among others. Let's take a listen to this architect as they further explain the situation.
The economic situation in Nigeria has had one of the greatest impacts on the building industry. I'm sure you can even see very few manufacturers are barely surviving. Building costs have skyrocketed. Many projects have been abandoned or on hold, and this is of great concern to us as architects and professionals in the built environment. But we are hoping that with the stabilization of the economy, as the President Tinubu has promised, things will begin to look better.
The current economic situation in Nigeria is it's really at a state of, it's in a precarious state right now. Inflation rate is very high, cost of fuel and energy is high. Of course, naturally this will have a domino effect on transportation, and you can also assume immediately that it will have an effect on housing too. And for an economy which was already dealing with the problem of housing deficiency, it begins to put further pressure on the housing sector.
The economic situation has a lot of impact because people can no longer afford building personal houses and individual houses. So government need to do a lot by encouraging or subsidizing. Even though the minister was here and he was talking about encouraging sustainable building, local building materials, and that they are working hard in collaboration with industries to come up with affordable materials, and that will go a long way in providing affordable houses for the people in the country.
Everybody's feeling it, the high, the medium and the low, but it's more on the lower, and it's not nice. Even as professionals, the housing deficit is on an alarming rate and the economic power is being reduced. So we must just come in as professionals, as a responsible government, to make it happen. Shelter is something we must provide for the masses. There's no excuse. Most of the houses we have are houses we don't need. And those that need it don't have it or cannot afford it.
The housing industry, as it were, is
heavily dependent on the economy. So if you are talking about the impact, it is a direct impact. So the construction activities would naturally slow down if the economic realities are harsh. So currently we are already experiencing that. So there is already a spillover of the economy on the Nigerian built environment, as it were. But what can the government do to improve the economic situation, to take steps to make sure that the economic realities are friendlier than it is at the moment?
With the current situation of the economy, housing developers and contractors said they are finding it difficult to deliver affordable housing for over 75% of Nigerians who lack access to desired accommodation. There has also been a spillover effect on the prices of houses, especially newly constructed buildings, as well as delayed delivery of projects. This is Housing Development. Keep watching.
We don't have road, and you see at times if it is raining, you will see a lot of people will go by the roadside. They'll be throwing dirt on the main road. We also doesn't have toilet. You see a toilet, you will still have to 30 tenants. They are using one. You can't leave your door open, go and buy something. Before you will know, Babambola will enter. By the time you will take them to police station, 1 hour is too much. The police people will release them. In fact, we don't know what is happening.
This is the situation with many citizens in not just Nigeria. Are we ready for this conversation? What is the plight of an average Nigerian citizen in regards to housing? Housing is a fundamental human right, and these issues must be addressed.
Welcome back. For the housing project of the week, we'll take a tour to the cubes located at Mabuchi, Abuja, developed by Constreet Real Estate.
Nigeria's capital city skyline is set for a revolutionary transformation with the introduction of Constreet Cubes, Mabuchi, an architectural marvel that promises to redefine luxury living that is affordable in Abuja. No wonder it is named Housing TV Africa's Housing Project of the Week. The Housing TV Africa team, led by its Chief Executive Officer, Festus Adebayo, was welcomed by the President and Executive Director of Marketing at Constreet, Ibrahim Lawal Dan Musa, as they took a tour of the site in the prestigious Mabuchi district. Constreet Cubes Mabuchi is the first of its kind in Abuja, offering a unique blend of modern engineering and exquisite design. The estate comprises 20 blocks of 8-story multi-level buildings, each featuring a variety of housing options to cater for diverse preferences.
First of all, the name of the estate is Cubes Estate Mabuchi, Constreet Cubes Mabuchi. It houses different housing types. We have the terraces, we have semi-detached, and then the most prominent ones, the one you're looking at right now, they are the condominiums. We have 2-bedroom condos, 3-bedroom condos, 4-bedroom condos. And as you can see, they're all high-rising, and this is like the first of its kind in Abuja. We have different house types, and there are many. We have like 332 units of houses of different house types in this place.
Prospective homeowners can choose from 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and 4-bedroom condominiums, as well as terraces and semi-detached houses.
Right now we are at Constreet Cubes, and one of the most interesting things about the house types on its own is it's less congested. So we've made it very easy, where you have just 2 people, 2 houses on each floor, which gives you enough room to have space for yourself. Amongst the facilities we have here would be the personal transformer to provide steady power supply. So we're looking at 24 hours light, where we're going to transition from the normal electricity into the generator.
The strategic location of Constrix Cubes, Mabushi, offers residents the unique opportunity to live in the heart of Abuja, close to major offices and amenities. The Constrix Cubes, Mabushi project is slated for completion by December 2025, with ongoing opportunities for investors and individual buyers to secure a piece of this groundbreaking estate. Potential buyers can visit the Constrix website www.constrix.com.ng or contact their office directly at +234 913 600 0267 and +234 913 600 0268. As Housing TV Africa names the Cubes Estate Housing Project of the Week, it is encouraging more real estate developers and construction companies to ensure integrity and deliver quality projects and products for all Nigerians.
Hi, I'm Bob Weinsheng, CEO of iBuild Global. Keep watching the Housing Development Program.
So glad to know you're still with me. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Development and the World Bank has resolved to work together towards addressing the 90% of land in Nigeria that is unregistered and untitled. This was the outcome of a visit on the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Dangiwa, by the delegation of the World Bank Group.
In a move aimed at making the nation's vast land assets more economically viable and unlocking the over $300 billion in dead capital tied up to undocumented land, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development and the World Bank Group have resolved to work together towards addressing the 90% of land in Nigeria that is unregistered and untitled. During a courtesy visit by a delegation of the World Bank led by its Vice President Infrastructure, Gwanzu Chen, in Abuja, Dangiwa, while giving his remarks, stated that one of the areas of the collaboration is the National Land Registration and Titling Program. He stated the importance of the partnership with the state government, as over 90% of the land in Nigeria is unregistered and untitled.
With this, we see that the World Bank is a key partner in terms of technical expertise and other related areas of development. So far in our meetings and engagement with the World Bank team, we have been able to identify the key focus areas of the interventions, which you made mention. First is the implementation of the National Land Registration and Titling Program. National Land Registration and Titling Program in partnership with the state governments. This is key to us. It's very important to our government, because we realize that over 90% of the land in our country is unregistered and untitled.
The minister added that land registration and titling will open up sources of revenue for the states who can boost their income through ground rent, certificates of occupancy, and taxes accruing from increased investment in real estate. He further said that such funds can be used to provide urban services in the states, which can help minimize the effect of climate change across cities in Nigeria.
So through this initiative we plan to implement with the World Bank, we aim to, among other objectives, achieve the following. In this National Land Registration Title, we aim to achieve a register, document and title all land parcels within 5 years in the country, or even less. We want to register, document and title all land parcels. Develop and launch the National Digital Land Information System, NDLIS, and define the framework that makes it accessible to all stakeholders. We want to also increase the formalization of land transactions from less than 10% to over 50% in the next 5 years. Because by the time we establish this National Land Title Information System, National Land Registration and Titling, We are increasing the formalization of all land transactions in the country. We also want to train and deploy technically competent land registration officers nationwide.
The World Bank Vice President of Infrastructure, Guangzhou Chen, said the purpose of the visit was to identify areas of common interest which they can prioritize in their collaboration with the ministry. Chen disclosed that the bank is open to supporting Nigeria on land administration, affordable housing, sustainable financing mechanisms, addressing the impact of climate change on the urban sector, and engaging in urban land management towards the attainment of livable cities, digitization, among others.
From us, I think what we need to aim at is maybe in the coming weeks or 1 or 2 months, we can prioritize one or two of those areas for us to actually have a plan that we can proceed to actual implementation of some of its priorities. You highlighted land management as one of your high priority. 90% of the land parcel are not registered, not titled. That is a big gap. That would be a constraint for any developments in infrastructure sector. But to me, that certainly stands out as a high priority. I want to emphasize that, as you heard, that in the land conference at the bank in May, that this is also an area that we're expanding across the globe. We actually work with similar other countries, large countries like Indonesia, for a similar sort of challenge. So we can certainly bring those other countries' experience and see whether something that Nigeria could also replicate, or see what other country good practice will be. And the bank can certainly work with you to develop a program to support these priorities. Because this is all boils down to one is use technologies that we can live for. Digitalization certainly is one of the tools that has been effectively used in terms of land record and titling.
In his closing remarks, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Dr. Marcus Ogumbi, solicited for support from the World Bank in the area of capacity building in needed areas.
Hi, I'm Bob Weinsheng, CEO of iBuild Global. Keep watching the Housing Development Program.
That is it on today's episode of the program. Thanks for watching. I remain your house and diva, Flora Ani. See you soon.